What's up, Blurred Nation? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Blurred Out Podcast, where we spotlight innovators shaping today's technology. I'm your host, Terrence, and today we have a very special guest joining us. But before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification button to stay updated on all things Blurred Out.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time, saying I can't get better, I promise.
Today, we welcome Shern Peters, a titan of mechanical engineering who brings over 18 years of leadership in R&D and new product development across multiple industries. As a certified FAA Part 107 SUAS pilot and a leader renowned for never compromising on excellence, Shern specializes in turning complex ideas into reality, pushing the boundaries of technology. Tune in as we explore his journey of groundbreaking innovation and excellence. Welcome to Blurred Out, Shern.
It's good to be here. Thank you for the invite. I am from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. McKeesport is a small little town southeast of Pittsburgh. So, I'm coming out of that tri-state area of, northeast. Little bit country, country urban, but made my way down to Florida, went to school in Florida, then graduated and made my way to Houston. So I've been in Houston longer than anywhere else. So I'm a Houston Texan, Rockets, whatever you want to call me. I'm Houston all day.
All right, yeah, I'm sure the Houston folks will love to hear that you transitioned to being a Houstonian. Yeah. So I mean, you're involved in a lot of different things, various innovations, mechanical and electrical engineering. You're into robotics, drones. Can you share with our audience kind of how you got into that, and what sparked your creativity into those type of technologies?
Well, this is a lifelong thing for real. When I say lifelong, this was a dream of mine since I was little, right? So I was that kid, putting together Legos at the age of 3. So, not just the regular Legos, but, I made my first bike out of Legos. So in terms of that, I don't know, I just had it. And, this knack for inventing got me probably in middle school, high school. And from then I wanted to be a great inventor. But what to invent, I don't know. I didn't find that out until my second year in college, in which, I always wanted to be in robotics. Robotics was the future for me. Everything is going to go mechanical and electrical. You put them together. You have a mechatronic system, whatever you call it, robot, drone, or that thing that moves. I love it. And they're going to be all over the future. So for me, it was just an opportunity, when I was coming up. And it was right there, and I had the knack for it, so I went after it. Now, the innovation, I don't know how to explain that because that's just general creativity. They say necessity is the mother of all inventions. So it really is just the nature of necessity that really drives me to provide solutions to the world that didn't exist before. So I love it. Again, engineering is an art. That's how I kind of treat it. So it is full of creation on top of problem solving, right? So the problem solving is the engineering part, but there's a lot of creation and innovation, doing things unique and different than everybody else. And those two combined that's what I love. And I can't help but to do it, bro.
Yeah, right, indeed. You mentioned one thing that did you say you made your first bike out of Legos?
Oh yeah, man. I wanted a bike for Christmas, and my mom bought me Legos. I was highly upset because I wanted a bike, but I didn't want to be disappointed, because it's my mom. I love her. Right. But I don't know. I remember this vividly. I'm looking at the box. I'm disappointed at Legos. I want a bike. And I'm looking at the box. I want a bike. I can make a bike out of Legos. It was just, stuff like that. How do you, the spark comes out of nowhere. I don't control it. I could say it definitely comes from my maker, from God. Yes, but sir. Again, it was never, I don't think it's totally upon the person that comes up with these things. It's just, it happens, whether it's gifted to them or it sparks inside them. But I don't think there's any way to control it. It just, I had an idea. I had a problem.
Right.
I had some resources. And it just clicked to use the resources to solve the problem, and boom. Now I got a bike with Legos. And I impressed the whole family after that, man. I was the man. Like,
I'm
what?
impressed.
Yeah. And, and from then it's like, yeah, just making stuff. Just, I felt I got a lot of pleasure from building. Like, hey, I had an idea. That was the first time I had an idea, had a problem, got an idea, and then solved it with my own skill without having to be taught. Because that was like my first Lego set. And so I didn't know what to do. I just, hey, you can put them together. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you put it together in this piece, in this style, you can get the thing that you want. So from there on, it's like, oh man, I'm going to make stuff. I'm going to be an inventor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Man, that's super dope, and that's a deep message to the kids out there. Like, anything you could dream of, start with Legos, dream it up and make it big, and who knows, you might build you a robot or a drone, a life-size robot or drone, and make your dreams real. So that's dope. So let's talk about that. Like, so can you talk about your role in your company RIVIR and the mission behind the company?
Okay, so RIVIR, I am the founder. So I am the inventor of the vehicle that we are making. So RIVIR is actually an acronym, stands for Rapid Intervention Vehicles for Immediate Response. Okay. So that's an emergency response type vehicle, really. I am the CEO transitioning to the chief engineer position because I am more of an engineer than a businessman. Yeah. Being an entrepreneur, oh my God. As an engineer, being an entrepreneur, you can only imagine. I know you know.
Yes, sir.
The amount of things you have to, do, because they're like two halves of a brain. They're not the same, right? So I'm better fit in the chief engineering position, and I have just hired on a CEO, an actual businessman. That's all he does all day long is executive business stuff.
Congratulations.
No engineering, right? So now I can focus on what I do best. He can focus on what he does best, right? And now we got a nice full-fledged corporation here. And that was always a goal, to go from, hey, this crazy idea that this crazy scientist founder had, and making it an actual functioning corporation that hires people, makes the technology, sells it, demonstrates it, and everything. So creating that without me, I guess, having the ego of, hey, I must be the CEO. No, I am an engineer. I love it. I love what I do. The business stuff, I can get it, but I'd rather just do the engineering. Yeah, right. I really would, right? So, we're now in this transition of actually doing that and putting the right pieces in the right places so we can really lead this industry in the future.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that. That's a big deal, like knowing how to stay in your lane, do what you're really good at, and just not make any trouble for the path forward, right? So many of us that we create these these businesses like a baby, right? And then we just feel like we got to take it all the way to the finish line. So kudos to you for being able to know that this is what I'm good at. This is what I do really well. Bar none, can't nobody see me here in this engineering space, but this I don't do so well. So let me work with somebody. I would say that was probably one of the things that I've learned in the last 5 years is how to let other people help me, right? And not trying to do everything. There's not enough hours in the day to do everything. So that's powerful. I salute you. So let's talk about the name. Like, why the name RIVIR? Like, where'd you come up with it from? Because correct me if I'm wrong. I recall a different name of the company. So can you talk to us about that?
Nanko Aero was the original name. So just to give you the history of it. Yep. So, because all of this started, because I went to Florida Institute of Technology, Florida Tech. So that's my college. I, go to Florida Tech if you want to go to the best engineering school.
Okay. Florida Tech.
Florida Tech. It's a tech school on the beach. That's how can you beat that?
In Florida, can't beat that.
Robotics in the beach. I'm coming from Pittsburgh, right? So it was a dream for me. But I digress. The reason, so the history of it is in Florida Tech. I'm a nerd, right? Nerd coming out of Pittsburgh. But I was different. I'm like one of one in my class, in all of my classes, right? So I started to notice thing, right? So I'm more of a new age nerd. Mm-hmm. And it became this, this thing for me. And as I started to put it out amongst my friends, and they like, yeah, there's a movement, like a new age nerd, not the weak nerds from the 80s and what have you that would get pushed on and bullied and what have you. Yeah. Not here.
New age nerd. I love that.
We are not weak. We may be intelligent, extremely intelligent, right? And sometimes for different reasons, maybe shy or reserved. But please don't take that as weakness, because that weakness just doesn't get treated well in the actual real world, right? From the workplace to just general society. And I wanted to remove that stigma of weakness and lameness from being an intellectual, right? So new age nerd, right? We are the bringers and the ushers of the new age. And you see it happening, right? Our generation, us millennials, right? Coming out here, taking on intelligence in a new way and, being powerful with that and not weak with that. Because there's way too many times you see back in the day, an intellectual just get beat up by, a businessman or what have you. So as a inventor, you have to be a businessman. So you cannot be weak. You cannot be a weak intellectual in this modern world, right? So me with New Age nerds, I wanted to define that as a movement of getting a lot of especially Black intellectuals in this high part, not being weak, but being fully intellectual, not being scared of anything, so that we can really take on and lead this new world. So that's the movement, New Age nerds. The goal was to create all kinds of technology, right? So one of the first ones is the flying car. But there comes, multiple brands and everything, and things have to stay in their lane. So it's like New Age Nerds. All right, we had to create an aerospace division. So it became, New Age Nerds Corporation, Aerospace Division, Namco Aero, right? Now, that's its own big bubble thing. So it can't stay under the same organization, what have you, even though it's come out of the movement. The name Namco Aero, a lot of people fell in love with it, but talking to a lot of investors, a lot of people that don't like it or don't get it, right? Once I explained that, hey, the acronym was New Age Nerds, they would then get it. But still, there's a little thing in which it wasn't the best name. So the acronym RIVIR, because we were already working on what type of vehicle are we creating, right? Yeah. Is it a flying car? Is it a quadcopter drone, a passenger drone? So we really had to define the type of aircraft or vehicle that we're making, which is why we came up with the RIV, so a rapid intervention vehicle, right? Then, playing around with it, the RIVIR came about, with something that defines the vehicle, sounds nice, looks sexy as a logo and everything. So it's a real solidified brand for the aircraft, right? But still, we didn't want to get rid of the overall New Age Nerds movement. So, we're just separating things, focusing on the aircraft right now. But always know who made these flying cars. It will always be the New Age Nerds.
Okay, I love that. And why the aerospace industry? Like, what drove you to that industry versus others?
Again, one of those things. So this, I would say, is in me. I am very spiritual. I have a very good relationship with my maker, God, Allah. When I was little, I would have a lot of dreams, whether it's daydreams, night dreams. And I, even back then, lived in the sky. Like I was able to put myself in the air in many situations, very vivid dreams. So I was flying by 5 years old, and not flying in an aircraft, just me generally flying. So for some reason, I had this natural affinity to be in the air, per se, right? So I remember in ninth grade, I tried to make my first, thinking humans can fly, my first wing flaps and try to jump off the porch. So for me, it was just a natural attraction. I'm in the air. I prefer the air more than the sea. It's a personal preference. You could call it, but it was there from day one. I don't think I created that. That was created by the creator. Mm-hmm.
I love that. We wanted to double back to the whole idea of the New Age nerd. You talked about, where nerds in the 80s were kind of weak, but, I don't know if you noticed, I got my Lambda shirt on today, right?
My man.
Right. So, and those, from the Revenge of the Nerds movie, where they were the strong, the intelligent, the cool, and every time them brothers needed help, they went to Lambda, right? So, the visual of the new age nerd was being created, but they had not been seen in the 80s, right? Today they're seen through brothers like you and myself. So, like,
Yes,
can you kind of talk about your experience when you saw the Lambda, like, what was it like to see something like that?
It was one as a kid. It was amazing. Like the Revenge of the Nerds is one of my favorite movies, right? Because again, the nerds triumph in the beginning. Like the nerd stereotype. Like I was one of that. Like I felt it. And the brothers. See, everybody forgets about the brothers.
It is forgotten. Even I forgot, right?
Right? Everybody, the brothers. And like for me, I always remembered that because it's like the brothers were kind of kept out of the movie. Right? Even on the sequels, you never saw them again, right? Or not really. Like it's just they were there, but in the background. But when you actually look into it and analyze it, well, they were the ones that helped the nerds. So there had to be an alignment of nerds and intellectual and intelligence and lambda. Like that's a fraternity of intellectuals, and they stood up to the bullies. But no questions asked. Like that's an amazing group of people, and nobody's just going to talk about it. Okay, cool. We'll just be that hot secret of the future. And for me, it's like I wanted to be those guys. When I went to Florida Tech, there wasn't no lambda, not even no alphas or anything. So there was no in real life Black intellectual fraternity. Right. So I wish there was a lambda. And even more so, like that's why I had to create the New Age Nerds movement, because on that fraternity level, like it doesn't even exist for us nerds. And here it is, part of history. That lambda, the brothers, just being that, is for me, it's important, especially in driving the future. So yeah, that's a major thing that pushes what I am now. Like I want to be that in real life. Yeah. And if it doesn't exist, then we have to create that in real life. Yeah, so that's where I'm at on it.
It happened right here, right now in this conversation, right? The New Age nerd blurred out. Like we need to just go ahead and create it. But I digress. Let me get back to it because that was good. So what are some of the projects that you're working on right now with RIVIR?
All right, so we're working on our 2-passenger aircraft at the moment. Our goal is to get the 2-passenger flying by the end of this year, so we can, put it on demonstration for 2025. So we're still on plan for our Fly Houston by 2025 movement that we started back in 2020. So right now I'm in the thick of it, and cutting material, lining out material, pretty much engineering the real thing, putting it together. So cutting materials, we're creating the test stand right now. With the goal of having something flying by the end of the year. At the same time, we are just developing drones, looking at drones for emergency services, for various emergency operations that the fire department, EMS, police department are looking for. So looking at that, both passenger emergency vehicles and drone emergency vehicles, and covering that niche is where we're at right now. So, working on the first 2 prototypes, the drones and the 2-passenger, is what we'll be focused on this year.
So share some. Let's dive a little deeper on that. Like the 2-passenger, like who are those 2 passengers that are in the drone? Because I'm, assuming if it's emergency response, is it lifting a patient, someone who needs help, or share a little bit more on that.
So our vision, and this is aligning with, there's a new competition that just started in February that we are a part of, called the Go Aero, and it's under Hero X. For a 2-passenger aircraft for emergency services would resemble, let's say, a pilot who is also a medic, right? Who would go out and pick up a patient, right? Who is injured somewhere that ambulance, fire trucks just cannot get to. Right. So this thing would essentially be a smaller brother, more agile brother to the helicopter, in which our vehicle can land in much tighter spaces, perhaps more dangerous places that would be more dangerous than a helicopter. But our vehicle can get in there and save that individual that needs to be saved, wherever they are. So that is the goal, in which there would be one actual pilot, and the passenger would most likely either be the patient or whatever payload. So whether you're dropping off medical supplies or actually picking up the patient is what we're looking at. At least when I say what we're looking at, that's the criteria being passed down to us by the industry, especially through the Go Aero competition, which is Boeing and a lot of other emergency fire departments worldwide.
Man, you are in the thick of it. I appreciate you just making time to talk to us today. That's wild, man. Congratulations to you. So again, so you guys are you're working on the manufacturing of building the real thing, right? Is this a prototype, or are you trying to get down
we're working on a prototype? Prototype is what we're working on, because everybody wants to see like the drone there. We try to make that the prototype, because for me it's like the prototype. If we could build that, then yeah, we could build the full scale. But for many people, no, that's a drone. Okay. You're talking about building a flying car. So we need to see the prototype for the flying car, not just a drone.
Right.
So that's what we're working on. It's a prototype for the flying car.
Yeah, and I'm gonna show off my drone here. I got the blurred out drone. For those who don't know, which is a a drone size model of the real aircraft, right? So this is super dope. I flew it. I've only flown it one time, but it was a lot of fun. So I'm definitely gonna be showing this off to the students at our programs.
Excellent.
So just going back into the whole manufacturing thing, that means that you're working with the FAA now and having to get some rules around that. Aircraft is carrying passengers. Can you talk to us what it's been like for you as a black man in this aerospace, right? Because I'm assuming that this has probably been much like your career along the way since college, that you're the only one, right? Can you talk to us about that?
It's different on who I talk to. Some people believe that I can build it. Others do not, right? Many I have to show and prove. And it's twofold, because there's people I meet, they're like, hey, Shern, you're an amazing engineer. We believe you can build this flying car. We just don't believe you can raise the money. So there's the business part to as a founder, the inventor, the problem was two major things. One, hey, proving that I can build it, that's the engineering stuff. I got that. But also proving that I can run the business, I could build the team. So all the actual executive business things that I just, career-wise didn't have, right? I got all engineering, no business. Right. So it's the business people will look at it hey, you're not in business and I don't think you could build the engineering. Then the engineering people are yeah, I believe you could build it, but I don't think, you could do the business. So it's geez, I can't get 100%. So in the moment, for the past 4 years, it's been show and prove. I had to put in the work, never quit, fail at certain things, and keep working, keep pushing through, show resilience. And here we are. Yeah. And this year, having actually gone through the hard times and people witnessing us go through the hard times and showing the resilience and showing that, hey, this guy can actually do it. And now they're starting to show some support after seeing that. Yeah. So, it is what it is. I love it. I don't think the story could even be different. So for many of us, especially Black entrepreneurs, I would say expect that type of feedback. And the only thing you can do is keep pushing forward. Don't quit. You're going to have to show and prove. But once you put in that work and you show it and you prove it, oh man, that's when you're really going to get the support. And that's where we're at this year. We got the most support this year ever before.
Yeah, that's the collaboration is very important in this, right? Are you still having any challenges getting people to collaborate? It sounds like you got investors now, so that's amazing. What was that experience been like just partnering with other people and the trust that comes with that?
It's a lot, but I'm different. Okay. I work with everybody. At least I try to. Sure. Collaboration, I find if you're going to be successful, it's inevitable, right? There's no not collaborating. For example, I'm at the airport. So this is our first time, nice. Like I said, this year, so many things happening. We have our office at the airport, meaning we're officially in the aerospace industry now, Yep. That came through collaboration, partnership. And I know a lot of people, way too many people, only collaborate if there's money involved, right? I will only work with you if there's something in it for me right now. It's like, I don't work like that. I know what you need, and I want you to succeed, right? So a group here that I'm working with, Bailey Military Institute, vision, same or aligned vision. And, I just started helping them, like volunteer, type deal. And I'm in Houston a long time ago, and this is during my artist days. I met another artist, and his main slogan was "Show love, get love." Man, I took that true to heart, and I still to this day, man, show love, show love, show love, show love, and then eventually you'll get some love. But show love, get love. So that's what I like to do. So that collaboration, I just show love, and good people will reciprocate, and that's what makes a major movement go.
Got it. Also, I want to ask, like, are you the only or one of the only black-owned manufacturers in this space for aircraft technologies?
We are currently the only African-American aircraft manufacturer ever. And that part.
The only. Congrats. I salute that. Definitely. That's huge.
And ever. That's huge. And it is huge to us, not necessarily huge to other folks or other races. But even to us, like, it's so big because a lot of people I'm not sure, because they say a lot of Africans don't like to swim. So, whether African Americans or let's say black folk don't like to fly or what have you, I don't think there's been a test to determine that or stats to determine that. But the amount of African Americans in the aerospace industry is lacking, and it needs to grow. But that's probably because African Americans were forcefully kept out of the aerospace industry from its inception. The first African American pilot didn't come about until 1920s, and the industry started, early 1900, 1905, 10, 1910, pre-World War I, which is good 20 years before they would even allow any of us to even touch an aircraft. Yeah. And the first pilot, he had to go to France to be allowed to get his pilot license. Wow. And that continued until Second World War. And then, the red tails, you hear the story. So, this thing of us being in this industry and kind of being kept out has been a thing for me. So me stepping into it is like, hey, there's still major work that needs to be completed that started in the 1900s that we have to do now. And that's like getting into this industry. And now it is 100 years later, right? I didn't know any of this stuff when that idea was placed in me, like, hey, this from God, you're going to be inventing a flying car, right? The first black man to invent the flying car. It's 100 years later after the first black man got his, pilot license, right? And being black in this, highly non-black industry, it is, and it's not even just the industry, because flying cars is the next level. So there's one thing of getting into what it is today, then also creating the next level of what we're trying to get into. For me, like that was like the most important, because it's a place that we were kept out of, and now we're getting in. Now with the perfect opportunity to not just be in it, but to pioneer it. Right. So we're finishing the job that those early pioneers were trying to do, but were forcefully kept out. Yeah. And for as long as we stay resilient, we can finish the job. And that's where I'm here to finish the job. So we got it for the next 150 years at least.
Yeah, we appreciate you making the ancestors proud, brother. That's good stuff. With that, I'm sure they had to create some unique challenges for you just kind of being in this space, and that just comes with any business, I'm sure. Like, how have you overcome those challenges?
Never stop. I have a no quit attitude. This is natural. I don't back down. I can't. I can't stop. I can't quit. There's no such thing. Even if it gets hard, like, I don't know, there's a thing of not quitting. I just don't understand it. It doesn't gel right with me. Especially if it's something that you wanted, right? Which is, this is what I want. So I can't quit. I don't know. I just don't have it in me. Like, whether it's the embarrassment factor or whether it's the disappointment factor, I don't know. It's a highly uncomfortable feeling to quit and stop. Therefore, if I can't quit and stop, I have to continue through no matter what. You know, and I put a lot of faith. In fact, a lot of faith in the creator. Because one, this didn't even come from me. It was placed in me.
Yeah.
And there's so many miraculous moments that has happened that I had no control over, but I benefited from all the way until now, to where like our success is directly from miraculous moments that I had zero control over. Like, yeah, I had the idea and I did the work, but man, this thing didn't happen because of me. Only one thing made this happen, and that's the creator. I'm sorry to put it that way, but
no, you're good. No, we appreciate
it is what
you.
it is.
Yeah.
For RIVIR, like, I mean, like, how are you all prioritizing the sustainability and the environmental impact that you want to have in the aerospace industry?
So that's a big one. And it's big because there's already a movement of saving the planet. You know, again, us millennials, I was a fan of Captain Planet, so saving the planet. I was also a fan of Toxic Avengers as well. So those two things, part of my childhood. So growing up, becoming an engineer, wanting to do good, wanting to serve the planet, you know, be good to Mother Nature, be good to God, like all of those come together. And I wanted whatever we're doing to align with that. So I don't want to create a vehicle that kills people. No, I'm in the business of saving lives. I don't want to create technology that ruins the environment. No, we want to save the world. So having those innovations or those ideas baked into the technology from the get-go has always been part of the idea, part of the original vision. So being an extremely safe aircraft, while at the same time, you know, of course, we're going hybrid. So in our hybrid system, even though it is a fuel burning system, we don't want to pollute the environment. So now we have to innovate on top of the innovation. So it's one thing to innovate and have a flying car. Now we got to make that flying car green and clean. That's an innovation on top of that. So, you know, of course, it makes it more complex, but it's something that we have to do. So that is our goal, to be carbon neutral, at least, if not carbon negative, right? There are the environmental limits, carbon limits that we must meet, that states and regulations are putting in the future. We intend to design in order to meet those requirements. So, you know, we're starting today for building technologies of the future that match what the, you know, environmental organizations want in the future. So that's where we are.
And what are your aspirations for RIVIR going forward? Like, what are some of the things you look forward to, and what are you guys planning for?
So our mission is to be the best flying car on the planet. And that's just simply put, like, so to be better than every other flying car or aircraft out there, meaning we need to design and develop an aircraft that meets those expectations. And there's a lot of hard work and innovation that goes into that. But just focusing on that, we want to be the best in the world. That is the vision, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and in my eyes, you guys already are the best. You're the one that I know. You're the only one I know. And so we just we definitely want to get the blurred out audience and our community behind that. That's super dope. So another question for you, for the new age nerds out there, like talk to them right now and give them some of your energy as to what do they need to be doing right now to kind of make an impact the way that you have on the community and, you know, innovate something great.
Okay. Man, that's hard. Because it's not like I followed anybody else. I followed what was put in me.
Yeah.
One, developing a relationship with your maker, with your creator, with your Lord, because that's what I did. And I happened to be blessed because I followed my Lord's instructions. So I'm not saying that it may be different for other people. It might be, but developing a relationship with God. Two, I guess the exposure of what exists is one, right? And then putting that with the other, which is, well, what do people need that do not exist, right? Again, there comes the invention or necessity is the mother of invention. So find out, what do people need? Find out that necessity. What exists? Find out the necessity, then use what exists in different manners to create the thing that's needed to meet that necessity, right? So that's kind of like the approach that I would take. But did I take that approach? No, because I was given something. It fit. I put that and analyzed it like, hey, do people need this? Do people want this? And can I make it with what already exists? Yeah. So, that'll be the criteria. But how to do that on the front side, I've done with other products, but I've never done that. That didn't happen with the RIVIR. And RIVIR is actually my first invention. It was actually the last invention that I took the trigger on because it was so big. But there's other inventions that I did pursue that kind of things that I thought of that didn't really come from the deep. So for the new age nerds, the inventors out there, the best I can give you is listen to a very, very, very loud inner voice. And I would call that your Lord, your God, because that will lead you to some places that you can't plan the future. You don't know. I did not know when I graduated high school that I was going to be the guy to develop flying cars. I couldn't have planned that. I wanted to be a great inventor, but it was wide open. So I say have that openness, but just pursue the interest that you have and pursue the interest that you have like all the way. I wanted to be an inventor, so I tried to figure out learn all the ways that I can make things. So I wanted to be an inventor overall. So I wanted to know, what do I need to know to invent? Engineering. Okay. Mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering, chemical, all the engineering. I want to make stuff. I want to learn all the ways of making stuff. I want to know all the tools. I want to know everything about it. That was just my mission and my take on how I pursued where I am now.
Very good. Yeah, and with that said, like, is the RIVIR aircraft, is it patented? Do you have any patent technologies? If so, how many patents do you have? Share that with our audience.
So the RIVIR technology is patent pending. So we're in the middle of that now, or finalizing that now. I had, from another reason why it took 16 years for me to pull the trigger to go out on my own. For 16 years, I worked for the industry, so R&D. So I got 8 patents working for somebody else. No, I don't own those patents. Sure. Of the $500 million of technology that I built for them, I didn't see it. So that made me like, hey, if I'm the genius that can build other people's technologies and get them paid for it, I really need to do it for myself. I really need to do it and sacrifice whatever I need to in order to get there. Because obviously I have the talent, the knowledge, the skill, and the will to do so. All right, so now apply that to yourself. So on top of those 7 patents, I got 8 patents I got with the industry, plus another 2 patents that I have now that were in process now, is a total that what we have. But the previous 7 patents have nothing to do with aviation. So I work for the oil field. I get a lot of flack for coming from the oil field and trying to get into aviation as if there's no crossover. And it's like, man, dude, I'm an engineer, man.
There you go.
There's nothing I can't build. Nothing. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Now, I appreciate it. And if you don't mind, can you share how our audience can follow you and learn more about RIVIR and the work that you're doing? Like, where can they find you?
Okay. Well, find me, Shern Peters. You can Google Shern Peters. You can find me on all platforms. I know Nanco Aero was the old name. We're in the middle of a rebranding, and this rebranding just started like 2 months ago. So it'll take a little bit of a process in order to get everything from Nanco Aero all the way over to RIVIR. But RIVIR will be the official brand moving forward forever. So Nanco Aero on all platforms. And if you go through Nanco Aero, you will find RIVIR, or just go to RIVIR, RIVIR.aero, and you'll get directly to RIVIR. You begin there. Fill out the form on there just so you could get on our mailing list. And once you're on our mailing list, you're part of the family now. So you're going to get all this information and stay up to date with all this good stuff that we're doing.
Man, appreciate that, man. Brother Shern Peters, thank you so much for joining the Blurred Out podcast today. I need everybody to get behind this. Like, this is a big deal. The RIVIR technology is going to be special, and it's going to be unique, and you will see it, because he's going to make sure that he builds the first aircraft by the end of 2024. So that's super exciting. And like you said, give love, get love. This has been the Blurred Out podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time.